One of the most intriguing games on the Week 5 slate, the 3-1 Bucs versus the 3-1 Seahawks, and it'll be in the throwback jerseys. Katie Caldwell, Jeff Lloyd back here with you today. So, Jeff, the injury bug continues to be a story for the Bucs. It looks like Bucky Irving might not play in this one. What do you expect to see from Tampa Bay here?
Well, this is really probably not the best scenario right now for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
I agree.
Certainly lost Sunday in a game with the Philadelphia Eagles. Kind of a little bit of a beating as, everybody, there was a lot of people that missed practice on Wednesday. We'll
Yeah.
see where that number gets to come Friday. But then now it'll be, without a doubt, the longest road trip of the season for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and one of the more difficult places to play to go all the way out to
Hmm.
Seattle. We all know what those uniforms do for that Seattle crowd, which is always loud and boisterous to begin with, but it's certainly going to get take up a notch this week. This is a really difficult game, in my opinion, for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It's a trip that most teams don't look forward to anyway.
Yeah.
And now, if you're Tampa, you don't want to, you don't want to get on a losing streak. Normally, you get one loss, you want to snap that immediately, but you're going to a really difficult place if you're Tampa. So, and with, Emeka and Buka, as great as he's been to this point, Seattle, and of course, led with McDonald as the head coach and his great defensive background. His first thing is going to be, well, you don't have Bucky Irving possibly, and we're going to try to do everything you can to shut down your rookie wide receiver, which could really put Tampa Bay in some difficult spots in that game.
You nailed it. Seattle has been so dominant at home, and they are coming off that extra rest as well. So, how big of a factor is that with Tampa flying across the country for, because it's just such a physical test for them as well?
It is, and like, you hear from a lot of players, you hear from a lot of teams, it's one of the toughest road trips there is, and,
Hmm.
certainly for Tampa, you're going, of course, from, South Florida, you're going to a place where it's basically autumn the entire calendar year. They don't see really this type of weather in Tampa Bay. So you get out there and, most teams are smart and they've really tried to start going out on Friday night as opposed to Saturday because you want that day to kind of get acclimated certainly to the time change and to the travel and get over the jet lag. But it just never changes. It's just in a
Hmm.
very intense environment for visiting teams to go to. It has certainly been something that has aided Seahawks for decades now. So you hope your team gets in there fresh. It probably helps Tampa a little bit that you're going out there after a loss as opposed to a win.
Mm.
But if you're Tampa, you want to go out there and you want to find a way to get this victory. But we're also talking about a Seattle team that with Sam Darnold being there, with Cooper Cup getting ingratiated in there, a Seattle team that's looking to, hopefully each and every week become a little bit better version of themselves.
I've been so impressed with Sam Darnold. The level of control he has, especially in the middle of the field, he's just so fun to watch. Is that going to be a problem for the Bucks defense? Because it feels like that's where they're being the most exposed in coverage, is that middle of the field.
And, Seattle, obviously, with a rookie tight end, another veteran tight end, they have no problem playing the tight end game. When you
Hmm.
have Cup, when you have Jackson Smith and Jigba, these guys are guys who can succeed anywhere with their route ability on the field. And it's just so interesting and just kind of fun with Sam Darnold because you've seen, peaks of greatness with Sam Darnold kind of everywhere along the line. And now, like, it's okay. This is Sam's home. This is where Sam is going
Hmm.
to be for a good amount of time. So it's really the first time we're going to be able to see Sam Darnold probably at just an overall comfortability level.
Mm.
Like, there's nothing to worry about. I mean, I know where I'm playing next year. I know where I'm playing the year after.
Yeah.
So now it's like I can totally settle in and I'm not the quarterback of this team. This is my team. And for Sam, that should probably only enhance things for him. It should really only help his play. It should really just kind of, and it's hard probably when you're a guy like Sam Darnold, where it's been, 1 year here, 1 year there,
Yeah.
1 year now, everybody knows and, you can become more one of the guys, one of the guys that can, reach a hand out to younger players because you will be
Hmm.
there for a season or 2 more and you can always be there. So for Sam, it's really going to be interesting to see if we can get another level of higher play, just due to the fact that he's now settled and comfortable, and the Pacific Northwest is going to be his area for, obviously a little while here, an extended while here. And, you really, for me, because I think Sam Darnold was probably the beginning of the, hey, we have to have a conversation. People are just giving up on quarterbacks way too fast. And even at
Yep.
the time when the Jets kind of pulled the plug, I was like, okay, it's kind of understandable, but that you're doing it, but it's also understandable that this might bite you in the ass. And kind of looking at where the New York Jets are right now, I think they'd probably still want Sam Darnold in the fold because they've been kind of chasing, whatever was going to be, hopefully they thought better
Yeah.
than Sam Darnold, and they haven't found anything close yet.
Well, and Baker too on the other side of the ball. This is such a fun quarterback matchup. Like, talk about guys getting their second, third, and fourth chances in the NFL. Man, like, it's hard not to cheer for these two.
Well, and the other thing is, you go back to 2018, and obviously the large amount of the conversation was, are you taking Baker Mayfield? Are you taking Sam Darnold? Do you like Lamar Jackson? Do you like Josh Allen? Or do you like the now CPA Josh Rosen, who's obviously doing really well for himself? Things worked out for him as well. But even still, though, Baker Mayfield's initial time in the NFL was a Thursday night game, week 3, 2018. Tyrod Taylor, concussion, left the game. Baker came in, got a
Mhm.
victory over Sam Darnold and the New York Jets. So, I mean, there is a big time history between, Baker and Sam Darnold, going back well into, 2017, 2018. So, guys that, and I think it was different for Baker. It wasn't like that the Browns gave up on him. The Browns just thought they could do better. The Jets just flat out gave up on Sam Darnold.
Yeah.
And again, now you're looking at it and you probably feel pretty stupid. But it also it serves hopefully as a lesson, to some of these quarterbacks, say an Anthony Richardson, that hey, just because
Mhm.
it didn't necessarily work right out of the gate doesn't mean it's not necessarily going to work for you because we've seen certainly Baker Mayfield, the number 1 overall pick, several stops now. Sam Darnold, I believe, was number 3 that year in the draft, and certainly several stops. And now he's in his place and he's settled. So it shows that, the road is definitely at times can be broken, but it doesn't mean that it's closed forever. And certainly, guys, you feel good for it because even in 2018 in my Browns coverage, I mean, this is literally it was 90 days, 100 days, literally of nothing but Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, Lamar Jackson. And this was the conversation that everybody wanted to have every single day. And for the most part, that class hit and hit really damn well because you look where Baker is, and certainly now where Sam is, and Lamar and Josh. It really worked out for all of these guys. And, everybody gets their laughs in every now and then because it was like, well, there wasn't a wrong take necessarily back in 2018. All of these guys turned out to be pretty competent and successful starting quarterbacks. And, Sam Baker, it's not going to be a big thing where they see each other unless both teams become really successful and it
Mhm.
maybe becomes a regular January thing. But this could maybe be the last, Baker Sam contest for a little bit, for two guys who should be the ultimate poster boys for, you have no idea what your path is going to be in the NFL until you basically go down your path.
Quick pause. If you haven't subscribed to the BetCanada YouTube channel, you can do so below. It's free and it helps support our channel so we can keep bringing you NFL and NHL content. Now, back to the show. The Seahawks offense has definitely surprised me. They've been so much fun to watch, but that defense looks so good. What kind of challenge do they present for Baker and this O line?
Well, that's certainly, where you're gonna be concerned for Tampa is just making sure that you can, because the thing is you really can't necessarily audible. It's
Right.
really difficult to do that in Seattle because it's just so insanely loud, and the thing is, even if you try, the next thing you know, it's a delay a game, or the next thing you know, Baker raises his voice to try to let everybody know he's trying to audible, and a guard pulls, or the center snaps the ball by accident, and it's just such a huge advantage for them. Even in these uniforms, the Seattle defense kind of looks even faster than they normally do, which scares the kind of daylights out of you. Really just kind of like where Seattle is overall right now. And I think it was kind of really smart that they went with McDonald because, you
Mhm.
went with that coach, defensive minded, and then you were able to get your quarterback in there. And sometimes when you have a head coach who is so offensive minded, they don't necessarily give basically the proper attention to detail on the defensive side of the ball. I think it's different when your head coach is defensive minded because he knows so much about the offensive side of the ball. He knows right away, like, hey, guys, you're not even coming close to full on my defense. So that's a problem. That is a huge problem. We're all in the same facility. If you got to at least be able to fool us, because, so for McDonald, it's really become a nice story. And, there's certainly a chance for Seattle to kind of make this a sustainable thing. The Niners are in a really tough spot for this team overall because once Brock Purdy started making real money, it kind of limited a lot of other things that San Francisco could
Yep.
do. The injuries, some of it is age related, certainly with San Francisco. The more time Kittle misses with an injury, he's not coming back at 24 or 25 years old. He's coming back at
Right.
31 or 32. So it's just funny. I was working out for Seattle overall in that division. Um, I think Tampa, this is a game they would really like.
Yeah.
But looking at all the injuries and knowing that it's in Seattle, I'd be stunned if there's a way Tampa can come out of this with a W because I think Seattle's really kind of starting to hit a confidence level, kind of starting to hit their stride right now.
Yep.
And for Tampa coming in probably a little bruised and battered and missing some of the soldiers, it's gonna be in my opinion, a tough, tough weekend for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.